Okay, looks like we're recording okay, so I'm going to move forward. Thank you for joining me today for this session on Blackboard Learn. We're going to do a little bit on the Retention Center. The Retention Center is a tool that is built into the navigation menu on the left side of Blackboard Learn, and it is under Evaluation. It's automatically on. You don't really have to do anything to set it up, but there are choices you can make for students you might want to monitor, different things that you might want to monitor from your students, whether they're doing well, whether they're doing poorly, if they missed a deadline, if they missed an assignment. If you're used to the whodunit in Angel, there's a way to track individual assignments to see who did or did not complete something. And so I'm going to go over that a little bit. And then I'm going to showcase a few tools that Donna and I found, some tips for using this that basically allow you to track and keep stored communications between you and a group of students that you may be monitoring for a certain item or with an individual student. There is a video here that I sent out in the call earlier when I sent this information. It's in YouTube. It's also on the our Beyond the Bricks blog, and it's in the email I sent. And it's about 4 minutes and 34 seconds, which does an excellent job of showcasing all of the different features for using the Retention Center. I'm going to cover the basics of it in my demonstration. However, this is a video that you will want to take a few minutes to watch because this is right from somebody from Blackboard did create it, and they did a great job, so there's no point in me making another video to do the same thing. But that video is linked inside our webinar here. I placed the link to YouTube in the chat, or this information in our Beyond the Bricks blog is in our Blackboard Learn Migration Resources section in the how-to videos and documentation. If you scroll down just a bit, you'll see I've added the Evaluation Center. There are other tools in the Evaluation Center, so we'll be expanding that, but we did start by adding the Retention Center documentation along with that video. And these are support resources from Blackboard, and they are fantastic, so there's no need to reinvent the wheel. So if you want to take a look at that after this session, you can certainly do so from our blog. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that. You can watch the video at another time. But one of the tools that we're going to show in the Retention Centers, Don and I were looking around and we've been trying to come up with best practices for communicating with students. In Blackboard Learn, we have a message center, which you can send messages to students. They can send messages to you, and there is it is recorded within the course inside Blackboard Learn. But you can't make folders. It's not real easy to see who you were. You kind of would have to go through a list. You can't just organize them like you would an email. The other tool that is commonly used is just email. When you use email from the left side of your navigation menu, that becomes external. Nothing is stored inside of Blackboard Learn. If I email a student who maybe did not complete something, or I needed to clarify something for them, then they get the email in their TWUBS mail, and when they respond to me, I receive it in my college Outlook mail. So the communication itself is not recorded or stored inside of Blackboard Learn. So having those different tools, then there's announcements, which we can send messages out to students, which would go to their email, and you get a copy in your email. But again, if we needed to go back and refer to some type of communication that we had with a student, maybe they weren't doing so well, or whatever the reminder was, and maybe you want to communicate with them, and you don't want to keep everything organized in your college email, then there's a way to use this Retention Center for that purpose. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that little tip as well. And again, these resources that the supporting documentation and video, I just showed you where they were. They are in our e-learning blog, and the Blackboard Learn help site has it's learning on demand, has lots of resources, and we place the link to that inside our e-learning blog. So with that said, I'm going to move forward with a demonstration inside a course in Blackboard Learn. Since Sue, you're with me, if you want to just type in that text by the chat box, let me know if you have any questions thus far, or if you're ready for me to move on with the demonstration.
Ready to move on.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go, this was the supporting documentation, what it looks like from using the Retention Center. And it's pretty detailed. So this is the, print version, or, the text version. And then, of course, there's the video that's out on YouTube that you can watch at any time. But I'm going to go ahead and I've logged into Blackboard Learn. I cannot show you my actual course, which I do have lots of things already set up, just because it would then showcase my student names, and there's really no way for me to hide that. So I don't want to be in violation of FERPA or anything else. So what I did is I set up a little demo kind of stuff in our e-learning online template. Yes, Donna, I messed with the course a little bit, but I'll change it all back when we're finished. I added myself as a test student, Donna as a test student, and Doug as a student. The three of us up here. So I also had added just a couple of assignments. There were some assignments in the learning content area, a computer backup plan, and a course contract. So if you've started your course with your students and you have ways to send email and course messages, you can always make an announcement, which the announcements I do like only for the fact that when you make one, it stays in the course as long as you want to keep it there. So that is a nice feature to see what messages you sent to announce to your entire course. But I'm going to go ahead and say we're in this class, and now we want to start monitoring students. We want to start seeing how they're doing. So we're going to go ahead and scroll down on this left side navigation menu, and we're going to go to the evaluation section. And I'm going to just expand that menu. In the evaluation section, there's course reports, performance dashboard, retention center, and some other SCORM reports. So I'm going to select the retention center. And here we'll only see me, Donna, and Doug, who are the students. So what you'll see here is this here, missed deadlines, grade alert, activity alert, and access alert are defaults to the system. So it's already on and it's already doing some monitoring. But there's more to the Retention Center than what the default settings are. So I want to spend some time to cover what that is. So in this panel here, this is considered the risk table. And in the risk table, you can choose items that you want to Blackboard Learn to monitor based on these different types of alerts. If you were to select the bar up here, if you click on it, it will bring up, it's color-coded so that missed deadlines are in blue. These are two students who haven't logged in a certain period of time. And so that's how you can look at the risk table. In the grades alert, there's no red little circles. And when there's little circles, it tells you that there's something that you've been monitoring, and there's been something at risk. If I were to look at, just to do a quick, without even making any changes, and this is just with the default setting in the Retention Center, I have 3 students that missed a deadline. It doesn't say what deadline. I'm going to show you how to make one to check a specific assignment. But in this case, this is just students have missed a deadline. In this case, it's students that haven't logged in, and I think the default is in the last 5 days. If I just wanted to quickly go, I have 2 students that haven't logged in, and I want to click on this. They haven't accessed this course in 5 days. So what's really nice here is that you can quickly do notify, and you can notify students. If we had staff that were able to be observers, in this case for an online course, it could be Doug at the beginning of the semester, or maybe there's someone in student development that's been assigned to observe. Basically, they could also get a copy of who maybe is not logging in or missing a deadline, or their grades falling below, a certain percentage. They can be part of the notification. So I'm just going to go ahead and send a message from here. And again, we've done no customizations to the retention center. This is the default. So students have not logged in for 5 days. I'm going to say notify students. It will automatically place the student names in the to field. What's tricky here is that you would think they need to be in a blind carbon copy because you don't want students to see the other student names of who hasn't logged in. And even though it doesn't look like it, it is BCCing them. It is not sending it into a to field. Students do not see the names of the other students in this email. It automatically populates who it's from. The subject says, you know, TMP Elearning Online Template, which I'm going to delete that part, but it will say Course Access Alert. I would recommend customizing the subject field because when a student receives this message, it may not be something they're even going to open. So, you know, I might say, if this were my course, so this course has happened to be called Elearning Template, but my course is DIG 110. So I would say, you know, put the course code, Course Access Alert, you haven't logged in at least the last 5 days. Now, I'm doing that to try to bring attention to them to open the actual email that will be sent. This also auto-populates a message. I don't think that this is what I would want to send to students. I would customize it. I probably would say that online, you know, or depends what course, you know, online courses have a required attendance. Maybe you have a copy of your attendance policy. You know, you need to log in at least 3 times per week to be an active participant, that kind of thing. Please contact me if you are having trouble, whatever you want to say, but I'm not sure that this canned message says what we need to say to students. So you can modify that. It's going to send you, the sender, a copy of the message. And what you can do is choose to include the list of recipients. I do that because, you know, it's going to send an email to my college email, and you can at least see who it went to. You can attach a file, but when I click Submit, this message has now appeared in my college email. I can see it's on a different monitor, but I can see that that message has gone through. It will tell me who it was sent to. But when we look here, I can see that that the missed deadline, you know, one of them happened to go to Donna. So if I click on her name, you'll notice the notification history. It keeps the history of everyone you've communicated with, whether it was this, they received a course alert, it went to Donna, Doug, Donna and Doug. I can see that it says your access patterns. This would be the email, the body of the email. So if I sent another message, then all of those notifications would stay here. So this is a way to keep a record of things that have been sent to Donna. I can also, I'm going to go back once here, and I'm going to do some customizations. If I want to monitor particular items, or maybe there's some students, I want to monitor Doug, so I'll click on his name, and I'm going to choose Monitor. And I want to go back to my retention center, and I want to monitor Donna. So I can do that, and you'll notice that now I have 2 students I'm monitoring. Doug has 174% above the average, and Donna is 74% below the average. Sorry, Donna.
Thanks.
And she's missed 2 deadlines. So it will quickly give you a snapshot of each person if you choose to monitor them. So in the beginning of the semester, you may want to select all your students and monitor them, or maybe just certain students. So that's one way to customize this panel, is choose who you want to monitor. The other thing that you can do is I have a specific rule that I set up. I want to monitor here, this missed deadlines. So I'm going to go ahead and customize. And it gives you these options to, these are defaults, except for this one I added, computer backup plan. So the defaults here, they say default. The default activity rule says activity in the last week is 20% below the course average. Last access is more than 5 days. Their external grade is 25% below the class average, and one deadline has been missed by more than 0 days. You can delete all of those defaults and choose your own. You can say, I want to know default course access. I want students logging in every 3 days, maybe. So you can go ahead and edit and just change the day here to 3. And yes, I want it in the risk table. I want to be able to see that. And I could choose submit. And I've made that change. Maybe I don't really care what their external grade is in comparison to the rest of the people in the course. So I'm going to delete this one because I want a custom grade rule. So I've just deleted that from that table. So I'm going to go create my own rule, and I want to create a grade rule. And I'm going to call it students below 60%. Why I'm doing, or maybe 65%. Yeah, I think you know what, 70 would be even better. And the reason I'm going to do students that give it the rule name 70% is that's right about on target with student successful completion rates, SC or better. So I really want to see how those students are. If there's students falling below that threshold, I want to either get them, send them messages, try to support them, or you try to get them some help. So do I want that in the risk table? I could say yes. So I can just quickly look at that table. I can say no, but I'm going to leave it yes. I'm monitoring their final grades because it's keeping that running total. Now you need to make sure you set up your gradebook properly. I don't show zeros for work that hasn't been due or completed yet, because then that will affect what their percentage is. So I only place zeros into work that has not been done after I've done grading in those individual assignments. So you want to make sure your gradebook's set up properly, otherwise the percentage won't be correct. So I've selected the grade as a final grade, and I'm going to define the criteria, set the grade value. I'm looking for things that are below 70%. And I'm going to select submit. So I've made another custom rule. So if I go to my retention center, excuse me, and I have a grades alert, activity alert, access alert. So I have students that are at risk, and I'm looking at and I'm monitoring these students. Now I'm going to show you, that's just going to bring things up in this table, make it quick for you to look at these. You can look at the items here and quickly send messages. That's what happens in this risk table. But I'm going to do some other customizations because maybe I want to be able to communicate with all of my students, and I want all of the messages to be stored. So even though the retention center wasn't built for this purpose, this is kind of like finding that loophole in a workaround to make something work for you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to customize, and I'm going to create a rule, and it's going to be a grade rule. I'm just going to call it all students. I don't need it in the risk table, and I'll show you where that will show up in just a moment. And I am going to monitor the final grade, and I'm going to set the grade value as above. And you know what? Let's face it, we have some students that we get started and they do nothing. So, at this point in the semester, I really don't need to keep sending messages to people who have done nothing in my course. So, I'm going to use 10%, because then I feel like I'm going to get this message. If I use this as a communication tool, I'm going to get this message to the people that are most likely actually logging in and going to view it anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and click submit. So I have another custom. I don't need it in the risk table, but when I go to my retention center, the items that you've created custom rules will appear down in the lower right-hand corner, and I have an external grade is 10%, and it says 2 students meet this rule. Basically, those are the students in my course. I can click on this, and now I can notify those students, and it will work the same way. Like I'm now using this as an email kind of thing. Whatever the message might be, I'm going to include that, and when I click submit, then I have really pretty much sent that to everybody. Those are the 2 students in my class. So if I go and look at my test student, you'll see that the notification history exists, and test 2 is due today. So this list would go on and on. So that's just a workaround, like finding a way to make this work for other items. The last customization I want to show you is how to just monitor a particular activity. This I used to always do a whodunit report in Angel to say who did or did not complete something, and I would send students a message when they didn't complete an activity. And this was one way you can do that, is setting this up. So I'm going to customize. I'm going to create a grade rule. I'm going to call it backup plan. That was an assignment that was due. I don't need it in the risk table. I want to monitor a specific item, and the item I'm going to choose is the computer backup plan, and the set grade value. Grade is above 0. So I can do that. So I want to look at who did something, or I can say, set the grade is below a certain points. So if it's above 0, I can do that, and I can see if I need to send them a message about doing that. So that's another way to look at a particular item. For someone who doesn't have a grade yet. Or another way to customize that is to create another rule, and it's a missed deadline rule. So if I did computer backup plan again, but really I want to look at, did they complete it? I don't need it in the risk table. I'm going to monitor a specific deadline, and I'm going to choose the computer backup plan. The deadline has been missed by more than 0 day, 1 day, whatever it might be, and I can click submit. So if you look at the options, you can really create some custom rules and things that you'd like to monitor, and it does make it very easy to communicate with students. I'm going to go ahead and miss deadline. I have just that assignment. I have 3 students who didn't do it. I can easily notify those students. I would probably say computer backup plan not received. And you have until tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. to turn in the assignment for partial credit. Obviously the message will need to be changed for whatever your own grading policy is. I allow 3 days late on certain assignments, and they lose a percentage each day. So, you can change that message. I'm going to include the list and submit. So those 3 students have missed a deadline. So if I go ahead and look at Doug, we can see now I didn't receive his computer backup plan. He hasn't accessed the course in 5 days. This is where we're getting that running list. You can also add a note. Spoke to Doug, spoke to student on phone on 11/14, and Doug promised to finish his work by Thursday. Maybe you have a conversation, or maybe an observer has a conversation with the student. And so those notes can also be added. So if I save the note, now the email, the messages that have gone to him, and also any other communications. Maybe a student stopped in your office. So this way you can leave a note, and if you ever had to go back to get that kind of information, you could. I'm just going to stop and ask if there's any questions so far.
No, but I like that last feature with the note in there. I used to put that into the grade book.
Yeah, see, that's
into the comments area.
Nice. Sue, any questions?
Yes. No, I used this already once a semester on the activity alert, and it did strike up the students' attention. They all got a hold of me. So
perfect. Yeah, and so now you can see there's other ways to use it. You know, there are other things you can monitor, especially if you had like a really, I mean, whether they are tests or certain assignments, just monitoring that to see, if you've not received it, it'll quickly give you that list to just shoot off an email that you don't have to worry about selecting the student's name, placing them in the blind carbon area, and it's going to track it. So I think this is the one part that kind of lit up mine and Donna's eyes was, oh, we can, everything is saved and stored here, and that makes it much easier than using some of the other means of communication that are available.
I agree. Love
this
feature. So
I'm going to show you just a couple more things here. So that was kind of making some customizations. You can look at students you might want to monitor. The last thing down here, this is actually monitoring your participation in your own class. Now, obviously, I'm not doing well in this e-learning template, but you can be certain that the numbers are far different in my live online course. But when you have some items that need to be graded, we can always go to the needs grading in the Grade Center. But you'll notice here that you will get any assignments you haven't graded will show up individually, and it'll tell you how many need to be graded, and you can click on it and it will take you right to that needs, the same place that the needs grading does, so you can grade items that way. If you've posted announcements, they will show up here. Or you can quickly click on Post Announcement, and it will launch the announcement area. So now that I've learned a little more about using the Retention Center, I've been frequently going there because I can actually do quite a bit of stuff right from that Retention Center. Now, there's another way to access the Retention Center. If you want to quickly just get a kind of a quick gauge on how things are going on in all of your courses, you could go up to the upper right-hand corner into the Global Navigation menu. If you choose that drop-down area, there's an icon that has an up and down arrow that is the Retention Center. If you select that, it's going to bring up all of your courses. If I click on e-learning template, it's going to say I have 3 missed deadlines, 2 access alerts, and I can click here to see the click here and I can see the details. And it brings you right to that Retention Center. If you were back at that Global Navigation menu and you didn't want to monitor a particular, like faculty user group, I don't need to track this, so I'm going to stop tracking this course. Marty Drake's practice course that I'm helping him develop his course, I don't need to track that. So there's things here you might want to track or not track, and you can do that quickly, from there. But the nice thing is you can, it's kind of like that, bird's eye view or the overview of what's going on, and then you can click on the details to get right to that Retention Center. So that's a nice little feature just to get there quickly. So again, you can there are other types of these rules that you can create, but when you click on an item, if you quickly had just missed deadlines or haven't accessed it, this is the easiest way, obviously, to notify students. You just click on that, it brings up the 2. If you choose student and observers, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do an additional recipient. And I'm going to send this to you, Sue, just for an example. It's IEGMAN at,
Two N's.
right? There's no S in front of the S, right?
Right, but there's two N's. Did you do two?
Yeah, I got two.
Okay.
So I'm putting in an email address. So maybe if you were a advisor who's monitoring students, or maybe sometimes I know they've been using TAs to help in particular courses, to, you know, provide external support, whomever, or even if it was Doug, I would say Doug, you know, for in the beginning of the semester, or for, you know, maybe haven't logged in a while, you know, he could be added here and he would get that message with the whole group. So if I did, this is course access alert, and I'm just going to send this message off. And Sue should get it in her email because I placed her in that field. So, you know, that's one way that other people who might be support for a particular course or program or something could also get a message. Maybe it becomes their advisors, maybe it's something else, maybe it's a counselor, whatever it may be. We have the ability to at least send that off and make it easy for others who are monitoring certain rules or activities to get that message. So again, I'm just going to click on Customize one more time, and you can see that there's different rules. We did a custom grade rule. We changed a course access rule. That was for them to, we wanted them to access the course every 3 days, not 5, you know, 5. Missed deadlines. You know, missed deadlines to me, if I see that just students are missing general deadlines, it says one thing, but I like to specify whatever the assignment is so that we know what it is they completed or did not complete, and then they should get that message based on that particular item. So this missed deadline rule will do some of what that whodunit report used to do for us in Angel. So that's my tips for using the Retention Center, and also customizing it to make it work for students who are at risk and not doing so well. But one thing I think we shouldn't forget about is giving, you know, praise or kudos to students who are doing well. And sometimes we spend our time looking at these risk tables and who's not doing this and who's not doing that. And oftentimes we forget to say, hey, great job to those who are really working hard and deserve to get that, you know, that little message. So I created a rule in my course, and it's a grade rule. And I called it students it could be students who are getting a B, an A, whatever. This is just my own rule name. Students doing well. You know, why shouldn't they get a message once in a while? I don't need them in a risk table. I'm going to monitor that final grade. And if their grade is above, I'm going to say 80, they're doing pretty good. You know, they're probably running a B in the B, A. You could do this for those that are just getting a B, maybe then another one for those that are maybe 90 or above, getting an A. But so let's say we're going to set this grade value. And again, this will not show up in the risk table because I didn't ask to monitor that. I selected no. But it's going to show up down here in these custom rules I've set up. And in this case, external grade is above 80. I have 2 students. So I'm going to notify Donna and me, my test student. Now, course grades alert would probably make them freak out, since they're doing well. They probably don't want to see that. So, you know, maybe if this was my course, I'd say DRG 110. You know, I don't think it's nothing wrong to say you're doing a great job, or give them some kind of message that's positive. And, you know, you maybe just want to say, you know, in viewing your overall grades, I notice you're doing a great job, or you're, you know, doing well. Keep up the good work. You've been an active participant in the course. You know, something, give them some kind of positive reinforcement, because that also encourages them down the stretch when things get stressful with exams and papers and all kinds of things due. So I sent this out to my students that were getting an A the other day, and I got back so many individual messages. I had 7 students who were running an A in my online course, which is wonderful. But they're active, they're engaged in everything, they're always logged in. And I felt they deserved a nice message. And I got 7 individual emails back thanking me for sending that message. So it was a very short message, but it had a great impact. And so sometimes when we focus on who's not doing well, it takes a lot of our time, and I don't think we should forget about those that are. So that's another way to use the Retention Center, to just give you a quick list of students to send that kind of message to. And that's the last type of custom rule that I've practiced with at this moment in time. So if you have any questions, I'll take them now.
No questions. I just love that last rule. I never even thought about giving them praise through this, so I'll probably do that this afternoon. Good idea.
Excellent. Donna?
I love it. I can't wait to start using it more than I am right now.
Good. And hopefully more people who are in our migration group A or B, or you know, just entire campus using this, will be able to watch this recording and start to find other ways that they can be creative in using this for not only monitoring those students who might not be doing well and need extra services and support, but again, for those that are doing well. You know, a little praise can go a long way. Well, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions about the Retention Center, you can go ahead and call me or Donna Simiel, and we'd be happy to help you in e-learning. Again, all of our materials to support these workshops, trainings, webinars, and the whole migration are available on nccc-elearning.com. That is our e-learning blog, and we have a whole section dedicated to Blackboard Learn migration resources. Donna has been doing a wonderful job of adding new videos to our full list of Blackboard FAQs and tips, and she's been keeping this updated on a regular basis, so there's lots of videos here that she adds to that list on how to do things. And if there's something that is missing or that you would like us to address, we can certainly do that. Just get in contact with us. So again, there's a lot of resources here to support your migration and any teaching that you may be doing in Blackboard Learn. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.